Have you ever looked at your retirement account and felt a deep, quiet sense of worry? You have worked hard for 30 years, but the numbers do not seem to add up. The truth is, most Americans approaching their 60s have a median savings of about $200,000. On the surface, that might sound like a decent amount of money, but when you apply the 4% rule, that only gives you about $666 a month. Can you imagine living your golden years on less than $700? It is a frightening reality that millions are facing right now, but there is a different path that almost no one talks about. The difference between those who struggle and those who retire with millions is not luck or a high salary. It comes down to understanding three hidden tipping points where your net worth quietly explodes. Most people quit their investment journey just a few steps before they hit the first trigger. Today, we are going to pull back the curtain on these three stages of wealth. I will show you exactly how they work and how you can position yourself to take advantage of them. Even if you are starting later in life, these principles still apply to you. You deserve to have control over your financial future. Let us begin by looking at why so many people feel stuck in the middle. Section 1. The context of the retirement trap. According to data from the Federal Reserve, the typical household approaching retirement is nowhere near $1 million. In fact, most of their wealth is often tied up in the equity of their home. You cannot pay for groceries with your kitchen cabinets. You cannot pay the electric bill with the drywall in your living room. True financial freedom comes from liquid, investable assets. These are things like stocks, bonds, and retirement accounts that actually produce cash. The problem is that most people never learn how money actually grows. We are taught to work for a paycheck, but we are never taught how to make that paycheck work for us. Many high earners making over $200,000 a year are still living paycheck to paycheck. They fall into the trap of lifestyle inflation, buying bigger houses and newer cars every time they get a raise. This keeps them trapped in a cycle of labor where they can never stop working. But once you understand the three tipping points, you can break that cycle forever. Section 2. The first tipping point. The snowball base. The first tipping point is the most difficult one to reach. It is when your capital base becomes large enough for compounding to finally matter. Many experts, including Charlie Munger, have said that the first $100,000 is the hardest. In the beginning, your portfolio is small, and its growth is almost entirely dependent on your contributions. If you have $10,000 invested and it grows by 7%, you only made $700. That does not feel like progress when you are working 40 hours a week. You might feel like you are pushing a massive boulder up a steep hill. It is exhausting, and the results are almost invisible. But as you continue to add money to your 401k or your IRA, the base grows. When you finally hit that $100,000 mark, something magical begins to happen. A 7% return now means $7,000 in a single year. For many people, that is nearly equal to what they contribute annually. This is the moment when the engine starts to run on something other than just your own fuel. Your money is finally starting to help you push that boulder. Most people give up right before they hit this stage because they are frustrated by the slow start. They see the market go down and they get scared, or they decide to spend the money on a new car instead. But if you can survive the boring stage, you will reach the point where growth starts to feel real. The key is consistency and ignoring the noise of the daily news. Every dollar you invest in your 50s is building the foundation for this first explosion. Section 3. The second tipping point, labor replacement. Once you pass the first stage, you move toward the second tipping point. This is the labor replacement stage, and it is where your life begins to change. This point occurs when your investments earn as much in a typical year as you save from your job. Imagine you are saving $15,000 a year for your future. When your portfolio reaches approximately $250,000, a safe return can generate that same amount. Suddenly, you have a second version of yourself working silently in the background. This virtual version of you does not need coffee breaks, does not complain, and never takes a vacation. It is working 24 hours a day to build your freedom. This is the moment when your financial stress begins to melt away. You realize that even if you stopped contributing today, your money would keep growing on its own. Your salary is no longer just for survival. It becomes rocket fuel for your wealth. At this stage, you are no longer pedaling a bike uphill. You have reached the top of the hill and you are starting to coast downward with momentum. Every dividend check and interest payment is buying back an hour of your life. This is when you can start to breathe again and look at the future with excitement instead of fear. You might start to realize that you do not need to work until you are 80. The path to retirement becomes a visible reality rather than a distant dream. But the most exciting part is that the growth is about to get even faster. Section 4. The third tipping point. Wealth acceleration. The third and final tipping point is the wealth acceleration stage. This is where millionaires turn into multimillionaires almost effortlessly. This stage happens when your portfolio is large enough to support your entire lifestyle. Using the rule of 4%, if you have $1.25 million, you can withdraw $50,000 a year. For many, this is more than enough to cover all basic needs when combined with Social Security. But here is the part that shocks most people. Once you reach this level, your wealth starts to explode off the charts. It took you 20 years to reach your first $1 million. But reaching the second million will likely only take 7 or 8 years. This is because the snowball is now so heavy that it rolls on its own. At a 10% return, a $1 million portfolio grows by $100,000 in a single year. That is more than many people earn in their peak working years. You are no longer working for money. Money is working for you at a massive scale. This is what we call escape velocity for your wealth. Gravity no longer has a grip on your finances. You could stop working entirely, and your net worth would likely still keep rising. This is how the wealthy keep getting wealthier without extra effort. They are not smarter than you, and they do not work more hours. They simply gave their money enough time and space to reach this third tipping point. If you are in your 50s and feel like you are behind, remember the power of this acceleration. $1 million invested at age 60 can still become $2 million by age 67. The timeline for growth shrinks as your portfolio gets larger. Section 5. Action Plan for the Pragmatic Planner. So, what should you do if you are still in the early stages? The first step is to stop comparing yourself to the exceptions you see on the news. Wealth building is a late career milestone for almost everyone. Focus on reaching that first $100,000 base as quickly as possible. Look at your current expenses and see what is truly worth it. Are those brand-name clothes or expensive restaurant meals worth the stress of a small retirement account? Many people realize that financial peace of mind is much more satisfying than material things. Consider downsizing your life now so you can expand your freedom later. If you have equity in a large home that you no longer need, consider moving that wealth into liquid assets. Turn that debt equity into living capital that pays you every month. Take advantage of catch-up contributions in your retirement accounts. If you are over 50, the government allows you to put away extra money for a reason. Do not let that opportunity pass you by. Invest in low-cost index funds like the S&P 500 to capture the growth of the whole economy. You do not need to pick the next hot stock to be successful. You just need to be consistent and stay in the game. The road to the first tipping point is long and often lonely. But once you cross it, the journey becomes faster and much more rewarding. Section 6. Empowerment and Conclusion. Wealth is not a matter of luck. It is a matter of time and math. The math of compounding is on your side, even if you are starting today. Every dollar you save today is a seed for a future where you are in control. Imagine waking up 5 years from now and knowing your bills are covered by your investments. Imagine the feeling of being able to say no to a toxic job because you have a financial cushion. That is what these tipping points represent. They are not just numbers on a screen. They are the keys to your personal freedom. Do not let the fear of a slow start stop you from moving forward. Remember that the first 100,000 is the hardest, but it is also the most important. Once you build that base, the rest of the journey becomes inevitable. You have the power to change your family legacy starting right now. Be the person who stayed consistent when everyone else quit. Be the person who understood the tipping points and waited for the explosion. Your future self will thank you for the discipline you show today. Which stage are you in right now? Are you still building your base, or are you starting to see your labor replaced? No matter where you are, keep moving toward the next point. The momentum is building, and your breakthrough is closer than you think. Thank you for watching, and stay focused on your journey. Take control of your wealth, and you will take control of your life.